Welcome to this very special interview on Awaz the Voice. Today, we are honored to have with us His Excellency Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al Isa, who is the Secretary General of Muslim World League and is a former minister in the government of Saudi Arabia. He has taken remarkable initiatives for interfaith dialogue and interpreting true values of Islam in the world. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Your Excellency. At the outset, we would like to thank you for giving us an opportunity for this interview. Now I begin by asking you, Your Excellency, that this is your first visit to India, and you have met people from diverse sections of our society. You're already in news headlines across the length and breadth of the country, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and your statements have already won hearts of millions of Indians. What are your impressions about the diversity and hospitality of our country?
طبعا أنا سعيد جدا بزيارة جمهورية الهند الصديقة، وكان هناك انطباع مسبق عن الهند وهو وجود التنوع المتعدد في جمهورية الهند.
Thank you. I'm very delighted to visit our dear friend country of Republic of India.
التنوع ووجدت أيضا الانفتاح والحوار.
Before coming to India, I had this preconceived notion that there is diversity in this country, and when I came here, I really find it also on the ground.
المثقفين والمفكرين.
We engage also with the dialogue with everyone. This included politicians, also leadership, thinkers, and also leadership from both faiths. And this actually reflected the beauty of the coexistence that I already, and diversity that I was already had the impression of. The dialogues that I had were very successful dialogue, and I know that India is a country of institutions, and it has a constitution which is inclusive and embraces everyone.
الذي حضن الجميع. مواد الدستور الهندي هي حاضنة للجميع. وهي أيضا
and we know the constitution implies on everyone and preserves the rights of everyone. Also had very important meetings with His Excellency the Prime Minister of India. We discussed a variety of very important issues.
الجميع لا بد منه من أجل أن يحفظ حق الجميع.
And it was a very open dialogue. And also I was equally delighted to meet with Her Excellency the President of India. And we also discussed various very important issues.
حوار منفتح وكان حوار ناقش موضوعات
Also we had very fruitful discussions with the Hindu leadership in India, and it was a meeting of friends.
وكان كذلك حوارا منفتحا ورائعا.
And renewing of friendship, because there are many of the Hindu leadership that I already know from before. So we were meeting and renewing our friendship.
هندوسية وهو لقاء الأصدقاء. نعم كان لقاء الأصدقاء لأني أعرف
Similarly, I also had very fruitful meetings with the Islamic leadership, and they reiterated that they are proud of their nation and proud of their fellow citizens from other faiths.
وكنت سعيدا بهذه اللقاءات وتجديد أيضا هذه الحوارات مع القيادات الهندوسية.
أيضا also I delivered 2 lectures while during my visit here in India. It was the attendees were very diverse from diverse sects of the Indian society.
هاتين المحاضرتين التنوع الديني
and everyone had a very positive feedback from the different themes that I touched upon in my lecture. We know that yes, India has this diversity that is very positive.
ذلك الحوار وعن تلك الأطروحات الفكرية والتعايشية. نعم الهند لديها هذا التنوع، وأيضا الدستور الهندي يضمن العيش الكريم، العيش الإيجابي الرائع لهذا التنوع. التقيت بالقيادات الدينية الإسلامية وهي فخورة، القيادات الدينية الإسلامية فخورة جدا بوطنها الهند وتضحي من أجل الهند، وأيضا سعيدة جدا بصداقتها مع أبناء وطنها من جميع التنوع بما في ذلك التنوع الديني.
Excellency, India has strong civilizational and historical relations with Saudi Arabia, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi also paved the way for a comprehensive strategic partnership with the Arab world. Also, India's G20 presidency brings in another opportunity to strengthen our ties in the new world order. So what are your views on our growing partnership?
طبعا سأتحدث كسعودي هنا.
Of course, I'll answer this question as a Saudi citizen.
انطباعي حول هذه العلاقة.
This relationship that we share between the two countries is a very important relationship. It's a historical relationship.
مؤخرا بقوة.
As you have mentioned, and will serve the interest of both countries. And of course, this relationship
وتعتمد هذه العلاقة على
focuses and depends on the wisdom of the two leadership
بين البلدين والتفاهم الكبير
to guide it into more fruitful cooperation
إلى الأهداف المشتركة. نعم، ونحن كسعوديين
and we as Saudis are very delighted to see this advancement and prosperity between the relationship between the two countries.
وجمهورية الهند إلى هذا التطور الرائع جدا.
Your Excellency, there are almost 2.7 million Indians of all faiths and regions who are residing in Saudi Arabia. Now, they form a vital cultural and economic links between the two countries. What scope of Indian diaspora do you see in strengthening our bonds?
طبعا سأتحدث.
Of course, I'll answer this question as a Saudi citizen.
كسعودي.
We know the Indian diaspora living in Saudi Arabia are very distinguished
في المملكة العربية السعودية
element, and we know based on my relationship with some of the Indians
أقول بأنها جالية
that I in Saudi Arabia, they are very civil and they work with distinction.
عاملة بتميز والجالية الهندية
and Saudi people based on their experience that they have with the Indians living there.
قناعة من خلال
they know that Indian working there are very dependable and very knowledgeable and
المهنية الأعمال
they know they are very sincere and we can totally depend on them on strengthening this bond between the two countries.
وأيضا في إخلاصها لمهنتها. لا شك أنها من دعائم تعزيز العلاقة بين البلدين. نعم.
Excellency, Saudi Arabia has spearheaded many progressive reforms for women empowerment. Also, Holy Quran gives Muslim women an equal status with men. Tell us more about your work in Muslim World League towards women empowerment in the Islamic world.
طبعا نحن كسعوديين نعمل من أجل تعزيز
we as Saudis, we see the role of women as positive in the society.
وهناك أيضا
we know that this role there is a just equal rights between women and men based on the laws of the country.
في المملكة العربية السعودية تتميز أيضا.
And we can see that on the ground. It's not just on paper. They are entitled to all their rights.
دول متقدمة
and Saudi Arabia, as compared to other countries, even some very advanced countries, is distinguished that there is complete equal just wages between the two sexes. There is no discrimination or disparities that can be found. And this is very distinguished even from very advanced countries in other parts of the world. So we see that this equal rights are just between the two sexes, and they are based on the Islamic jurisprudence, which take their, of course, laws from both the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. We, as Saudis, we see that this is a very just rights between the two sexes, and it's very comprehensive.
في حقوق المرأة. تحكم المملكة العربية السعودية هدي شرعي ينطلق من دستورها وهو القرآن الكريم والسنة النبوية المطهرة. هناك نظام أساسي للحكم واضح وعادل وشامل تنطلق منه أنظمة المملكة العربية السعودية. وأيضا المرأة السعودية
and of course the Saudi woman has a presence in all the sectors of the society
في كافة
and work with
قطاعات
the same equal opportunities
وتعمل كمواطنة بكل إخلاص وبكل مهنية.
And anyone who has visited Saudi Arabia and experienced that firsthand can see that on the ground.
وهذا
And this just
empowerment and
comprehensive empowerment of women, is based on the Islamic jurisprudence which takes its teachings from the Quran and the Sunnah.
Your Excellency, you have talked about conceptual openness of Islam that makes ijtihad possible. As a jurist, what scope of ijtihad do you see by using modern intellectual methods to get clarity on some of the most critical issues of our times, such as role of Muslims living in diverse societies, rights of Muslim women, organ donation, and interest-based banking? According to you, what role should the religious leaders and ulama be playing in the contemporary times?
الشريعة الإسلامية جاءت بالعدالة وجاءت بتحقيق السلام.
The jurisprudence, the Islamic jurisprudence came with justice, peace, and harmony among all.
موضوع العقائد، موضوع القناعات، هذه تخص.
And of course, convictions and personal convictions are a personal choice for each and everyone.
وهو أن تكون مقتنعا بما تؤمن به.
And there is a clear concept in Islam in this regard. There is a verse in the Quran that says there is no compulsion in religion. Thus, everyone is free to choose their belief.
التي أعطت هذه الحرية.
And Islam came, when it comes to jurisprudence, Islam came with a wide horizon and a wide and open outlook.
والأفق الواسع. عندما
which promotes stability in our world.
السلام والوئام نتحدث عن الاستقامة.
Muslims, wherever they are living, they have to abide by the law, by the prevailing culture, and also the will of the people where they live.
أن يحترم دستورها.
So that these concepts promote coexistence among people, regardless of the differences in ideology and in thinking might they have.
ويأتي الخيار أيضا بخيار الأغلبية.
So we have to respect others, and that respect should be in the framework of love that we have.
الصحيح لدين الإسلام. المفهوم التعايش.
The diversity or differences should not turn into a source of conflict, but should be turned into a source of enrichment.
مهما اختلفت معه في العقيدة.
There is in Islam, of course, the brotherhood, the patriotic brotherhood among the citizens of the one nation,
في إطار
and should be guided by the coexistence within the framework of the constitution.
المحبة في إطار التعاون المشترك. الدول الوطنية حول العالم في غالبها هناك تنوع كبير جدا، وهذا التنوع نقول للجميع يجب أن لا يتحول إلى صدام وصراع، بل يجب أن يكون غنى وثرى لكل دولة. ولهذا هناك أخوة وطنية. المواطن الصادق هو الذي يشعر بأخوته الوطنية لمواطنه الآخر مهما اختلف معه. هناك دستور يحكم الجميع ويتعايش الجميع مع هذا الدستور. الخلافات واردة لكن لا تتحول إلى صدام وصراع. الإسلام ضد ذلك لأنه مع السلام والوئام. نعم. العالم
as for one of the elements that I have mentioned, which is donation, the organ donation,
في أمور كثيرة.
Of course, as we said, in Islam there are the four principles
ولكن يتعايش
that all the Islamic jurisprudence scholars agree on.
الشق الثاني من السؤال
One of the principles is to preserve and protect the human life.
بالأعضاء من
And we should strive and work as much as we can to preserve and protect this life.
الخمس
and this should be regardless of, without any discrimination or based on
ومن حفظ الحياة
religion,
تسعى قدر الإمكان بأن تحفظ حياة الآخرين. ومن ذلك التبرع للآخرين.
Other humans. So there is a shared brotherhood, and we should work accordingly.
بالأعضاء بغض النظر عن اختلاف الدين، عن اختلاف العرق، عن اختلاف الوطن. التبرع بالأعضاء لذات الإنسان كإنسان، لأن الإنسان أخو الإنسان وحريص على حياته.
Excellency, your work as Secretary General of Muslim World League has won accolades globally for your endorsement of moderate values. Yet we see sometimes there are irritants between the communities, like illegal conversions against the law of the land, cow slaughter, etc., which creates conflicts within multi-ethnic societies. What is the role of Muslim youth particularly to handle these issues?
ذكرت قبل قليل أن الإسلام جاء باحترام القناعات مهما اختلف معها، لكن هي
يحترم حرية القناعة. As I have mentioned in my previous answer that Islam respects the people's conviction.
شيئا خاصا بك.
Everyone's conviction is a personal choice, as I have mentioned that based on the verse of the Quran.
إلى الآخرين وألا تحدث مشكلة بهذه القناعة من شأنها أن تسبب أثرا ضارا للمجتمعات، لأن الإسلام ينظر من جميع الزوايا. الإسلام نظرة شاملة وليس من زاوية واحدة. وأيضا عندما سألتم عن مسألة الشق الثاني في السؤال، نحن دوما نؤكد وفي المنصات الدولية بأن يجب احترام القوانين والثقافة العامة في كل بلد، لأن هذا يحفظ الأمن والاستقرار ويحفظ الوئام الوطني. يجب أن لا أنظر من زاوية واحدة بل أنظر من زوايا كثيرة. الإسلام يدعو للسلام ويدعو للوئام ويدعو للانسجام وليس غير ذلك. أيا كانت الاجتهادات أيا كانت الذرائع، فقد تكون لدى المسلم قناعة معينة في اجتهاد معين، ولكن قد تصطدم هذه القناعة الخاصة في قضايا فرعية كثيرة جدا من الفروع التي لا تعتبر أسس.
So even this personal interpretation or personal
شيء آخر، هذا الشيء أكبر من هذه القناعة.
Should be ensured that they are not going against the principles of Islam. And I'm sure that in all constitutions of the countries around the world, in all the civil countries,
التي تجعله مسلم أو غير مسلم، ليس هناك أي دستور في العالم يتعرض لها. جميع الدساتير في العالم في كل الدول المتحضرة تحترم القناعات الدينية كمسلم أو غير مسلم. وأيضا الثوابت الدينية بالنسبة له. ليس هناك مسلم حول العالم يقال له لا تصلي، لا تقول أنا مسلم. كل الدساتير في العالم تحمي هذه الحرية. بالتالي أنا أتحدث عن أمور أخرى هي فرعية، لكن يرى المسلم أن تصرفه في هذه القضايا الفرعية قد يصطدم مع قضايا أكبر منها وأهم منها في حفظ الأمن والاستقرار والوئام الوطني في البلد الذي يعيش فيه. إذن عليه أن ينظر لهذا الأمر الأكبر ويطبقه. هنا عالمية الإسلام، هنا أفق الإسلام الواسع والشامل. الإسلام لا ينظر كما قلت من زاوية ضيقة أو من زاوية واحدة، بل ينظر نظرة شمولية. وهنا عندما أتحدث عن هذا الأمر نحقق الهدف الأسمى من الإسلام، وهو تحقيق السلام في هذا العالم. النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. احترم أخلاق قديمة كانت قبل الإسلام، لأنها قيم احترمها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بنص هذا الحديث، وجاء أيضا بقيم أخرى لكنها كانت قيم إنسانية تخاطب القناعة الوجدانية، الفطرة الإنسانية. الاجتهادات الخاصة التي تختلف عن هذه القيم الإسلامية وعن هذا الأفق العالمي الشامل للإسلام هي تمثل قناعات واجتهادات شخصية. ولهذا دائما نقول بأن القضايا العامة يجب أن يفتي فيها مجالس علمية.
Some practices might be permissible for Muslims to practice, but they might be in a position or in a different place. These permissible practices may cause a lot of harm and problems in that place. So in that condition, that permissible act for Muslim becomes forbidden for him to practice because of the negative outcomes of that act.
ولهذا الفقهاء المسلمون اتفقوا على أن الأحكام الشرعية
تختلف
باختلاف الزمان
and changes from one place to other based on the following factors: the time, the place, and the prevailing circumstances, the customs and habits of that place, and also the intentions and the people of the country. So that reflects the broad horizon of the faith.
Excellency, we live in technological age where we talk about artificial intelligence, robotics. Today, no Muslim child can be denied the benefits of modern education, which is required for rational thinking, scientific inquiry, and livelihood. Do you think, Your Excellency, that there is a need to incorporate modern education into the curriculum of Darul Uloom and madrasas?
كل ما يفيد
everything that benefits
ويفيد
a child should be included in the curriculum, whether be it
يجب أن ينخرط في المدارس
artificial intelligence or critical thinking,
الذكاء الاصطناعي أو التفكير الناقد.
all these matters should be included in the child's curriculum,
كل ما يفيد
be it Muslim children or from other faiths.
يجب أن يستفيد منه ويكون ضمن مناهج التعليم المسلمين وغير المسلمين.
The shaping of the process thinking of a person starts from a young age, and in that age we determine the path of his thinking. That's why the curriculum should be encouraging these matters and inoculating his mind from penetration of any sane or any negative ideas.
Excellency, you have said time and again that Muslims need to respect their national laws and values, and that the concept of political Islam is against the spirit of our faith. Yet the organizations like ISIS harbor the fantasy of caliphate, and such extremist worldview creates a situation of clash of civilizations. How has Saudi Arabia responded to this challenge so far, and what should be the role of Muslim organizations to undermine such ideologies? Also, please brief us more about the Mecca Charter.
المملكة العربية السعودية لديها أكبر
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has the biggest platform there are
لمواجهة الأفكار
to combat such ideologies and extremism. And with all its strength and capabilities, Saudi Arabia is capable of countering such ideas.
لمواجهة هذه الأفكار المتطرفة
Of course, the groups that you have mentioned, like ISIS or Al-Qaeda, they don't represent Islam.
عندما نتحدث
or any terrorist in the world, they do any acts in the name of religion, they don't represent that religion. Otherwise,
كل إرهابي في كل دين
those religions will be associated with terrorism. So no terroristic act has anything to do with any faith.
تأثرت منهم الدول الإسلامية.
Terrorism has impacted Islam more than any other faith. Any negative impact comes from terrorism, Islam.
لأنهم لدى من لا يعرف حقيقة الإسلام
consequences twofold, because it also distorts the image of Islam and the teaching of Islam at the eyes of those who don't know about the faith.
الإرهابية. وثيقة مكة
the Charter of Mecca is the historical charter that is based on the Charter of Medina, or the Constitution of Medina, that was signed by the Prophet peace be upon him, with the different components of other faiths that were living
الديني في المدينة في ذلك الوقت.
In Medina at the time. So this charter, the Charter of Mecca, promotes coexistence with dignity among the different components of the societies.
جاءت وثيقة مكة المكرمة كحلم
Charter of Mecca was a dream that is realized for the Islamic world and for the scholars of the Islamic world.
اجتمع في مكة
It was held and signed in the year 2019 with all the muftis and senior scholars in the Islamic world being present there.
كل المفتين في العالم الإسلامي
Anyone with the designation of mufti or grand mufti was present there in Mecca
إلى مكة المكرمة.
To sign and back this charter. It's a big number that never took place before in Islamic history.
رقم كبير جدا لم يحصل.
All the sects and Islamic schools of thought were present. 27 in total. They were present there to sign and back on the different articles of the Charter of Mecca.
الطوائف والمذاهب الإسلامية. حضر سنة وشيعة.
And this charter explained to everyone the true message of Islam. And this charter is available in different languages and available online for everyone to look up.
هذه الوثيقة وضحت حقيقة الدين الإسلامي.
This charter is against terrorism and all the
وأيضا استهدفت هذه
الوثيقة كافة
الأفكار المتطرفة والأفكار الإرهابية.
and rectifies many misconceptions and teaches that the differences and diversity is a normal part of life.
طبيعة الاختلاف والتنوع في هذه الحياة.
And should be taken as a source of enrichment in this regard. And also talks about that the theories of clash and clash of civilizations are not true.
وأن تستبدل بالحوار
but it should be based, these differences should be bridged through dialogue and the shared values that we have together. These shared values are enough to ensure that there is peace and harmony in our world.
كبيرا في إحلال الوئام في المجتمعات الوطنية والسلام في عالمنا.
Your Excellency, could you now tell us a little more about the initiatives of Muslim World League in collaboration with UN for bridging the gap between the Western and the Eastern world?
هذه المبادرة مهمة جدا، ولمسنا في سياق الأحداث العالمية سواء الحالية أو التي قبلها.
This initiative is a very important initiative that we have undertaken.
يمكن أن يفهمها البعض
It was taken at a time when there are international events that are taking time right now, or also in the past that could be seen as the clash between civilization is something unavoidable. It's going to happen.
والصراع بين
as
الحضارات
is based also in the theory of Samuel Huntington when he said that the clash between civilizations is something unavoidable, and this is something very dangerous.
وهذا الأمر خطير جدا.
خطير. That's why we took upon us to take this initiative with all the faith of the world. We had also Hindu leadership who were there with us.
مع حلفائنا من
at this event, and also other faiths and thinkers and very influential elements of the society were all present there.
للأمم المتحدة ومن خلال أيضا حلفائنا من المفكرين والمثقفين
والأكاديميين
وأيضا عدد من السياسيين والبرلمانيين حول العالم.
And it was officially
من داخل الأمم المتحدة
recognized and welcomed by the United Nations, and the Secretary General of the United Nations also has his speech delivered at the event.
والصراع بين الحضارات. هذه
And
المبادرة
also
رحبت بها
the President of the General Assembly was there and delivered his support
رسمي عن طريق معالي أمينها العام. رحب بها معالي الأمين العام.
And also the Secretary General of the Alliance of Civilizations
للأمم المتحدة ممثلة لأمانتها العامة، وأيضا كان هناك رئيس الجمعية العامة للأمم المتحدة حضر، أيضا رئيس منظمة تحالف الحضارات في الأمم المتحدة حضر وألقى كلمة، وكانت أيضا كلمات لعدد من أتباع الأديان وعدد أيضا من المفكرين والمثقفين والأكاديميين. حضرت جامعات عالمية مرموقة وتحدثت في هذه الندوة والتي سعد بها هي وضع حجر أساس لهذا الموضوع، واتفقنا جميعا على أن ننطلق حول العالم بمبادرات وبرامج تؤكد على أن الأمم تتحالف، وأنه لا صراع ولا صدام بين الحضارات تختلف ولكنها تتحالف حول مشتركاتها ونحن بهذه المبادرة ندعو إلى تعزيز السلام في عالمنا، وأيضا لتصحيح الأفكار حول حتمية الصدام والصراع الحضاري، أو أن تفسر بعض السياقات، تفسر بعض الأحداث العالمية على أنها صراع بين الشرق والغرب. نقول لا أبدا، لأن هذا من شأنه أن يحدث مشكلة كبيرة وعميقة بين الأمم والشعوب، ونحن ندعو دوما إلى سلامها وإلى الصداقة بين الأمم والشعوب. حضر في هذه الندوة التي تحمل هذه المبادرة العالمية تنوع لم يحضر من قبل، بل هناك شخصيات دينية كبرى بعض الأديان لم تحضر مؤتمرات من سنين طويلة، لكن حضرت
and many prominent figures came from far away to just
عالمية مهمة جاءت من بعيد لتحضر هذه الندوة داخل الأمم.
After the conference, I met with the Secretary General
of the
United Nations,
who
showed his support for this conference and said it's a very important initiative. And also the son of Martin Luther King came to this event and said that this event represents and embodies the aspirations and goals of my father, and that's why I'm here to support this conference.
But we all say we don't need just initiative, we need to initiate. We don't need just words, we need action.
Your Excellency, in one of your talks in New Delhi, you mentioned about the pleasant interaction you've had with two great Indian spiritual leaders, Sadhguru and Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji. Could you share some of your experiences you've had with them?
هي صداقة تعبر عن مبادئ مشتركة بيننا وبين الصديقين العزيزين. بيننا مفاهيم مشتركة لتحقيق سلام عالمي ووئام المجتمعات الوطنية. نتفق في كثير من الأفكار، وهذه الأفكار التي نتفق عليها هي كفيلة لأن نسهم معا في تحقيق المزيد من الوئام المجتمعات الوطنية، وأيضا الإسهام في تعزيز سلام هذا العالم. أنا على قناعة بأن هذين الصديقين يحملان روحا عالية نحو محبة الجميع، محبة السلام لهذا العالم. أنا أحترم كل منهم احتراما خاصا كتقدير كصداقة، وأتواصل معهم للمزيد من العمل معا.
Your Excellency, in your talks, you had spoken about Indian wisdom. Perhaps you're referring to the Vedic wisdom which has been transmitted through generations to the present day. Would you like to talk a bit more about that?
نحن كمسلمين لدينا مبدأ أن المسلم يبحث عن الحكمة أينما كانت وعند من كانت هذه.
Of course, there is a principle in Islam for Muslims that Muslims should seek wisdom wherever it may be.
عدد من المفاهيم لدى عدد من النظريات حول العالم،
with many people around the
world. حكمة خاصة أسميتها في المحاضرتين
and there is this wisdom that we have called the Indian wisdom because it's a wisdom that started to take shape
والتعامل مع الآخرين بحكمة.
In the Indian constitution, which is a very comprehensive and all-encompassing constitution,
وتأخذ السياق المؤسسي
in which all the components and the different cultural components of society come together.
هو حاضن للجميع، ضامن لحقوق الجميع، ومن خلال هذا الدستور جاءت القوانين وأيضا تكونت الثقافة الهندية في إطارها الوطني الذي ينطلق من هذا الدستور
as we said in the constitution, and also in many of the saw it reflected in the personalities that we have met.
الشامل. هذه الحكمة تضع الأمور في مواضعها الصحيح وتعالج الأمور معالجة سليمة. وجدنا هذا في الدستور الهندي،
friendship that we have shared here. In the previous question you asked me about the friendship that I share with Shri Ravi Shankar and Shri Guru. So we also have this friendship based on this wisdom that we have together. Of course, this friendship that we share together is a friendship that promotes peace of our world. And also peace between and friendship between people and nations across the world. And we see it all reflected through that. So this is the wisdom that we are talking about, the wisdom that ensures harmony and peace in our world.
تلتم حول مبادئ نؤمن بها جميعا من أجل هذا العالم، من أجل وحدة نتفق عليها وهي سلام هذا العالم ووئام مجتمعاته الوطنية، من أجل تعزيز الصداقة والتعاون بين الأمم والشعوب، من أجل ما تحدثت عنه قبل قليل في سؤالكم، وهو المبادرة التي أطلقتها رابطة العالم الإسلامي، وهي مبادرة بناء الجسور بين الشرق والغرب. لا يجتمع حول هذه المبادئ التي نتشارك حولها من أجل صالح عالمنا إلا الحكماء العقلاء الذين يحملون في قلوبهم المحبة والخير للجميع.
The Indian wisdom, we have heard about it since we were children, and they're present there in the books of the philosophers. So it has been there from the very beginning, and the world has benefited from it.
Excellency, your vision and your smiling face has already won millions of hearts in India across all religions. Now, we'd like to ask you that your visit to India has created a lot of goodwill across all religions. Would you like to say a few words about the warmth and affection Indian people have extended to you?
طبعا أنا سعيد جدا بزيارتي لجمهورية الهند، والهند بلد صديق.
Of course, I'm delighted to visit this friendly nation of the Republic of India.
ولمسنا أن بين هذا التنوع
تفاهم. And when I came, I found an amazing diversity.
سعدنا بأن نتناقش ونتحاور.
And we got a sense of understanding among the different components.
وهذه الحوارات تعزز.
I was delighted with the different intellectual dialogues that I engaged with.
أهدافنا المشتركة التي أذكر كثيرا.
And of course, we work together on promoting our common objectives.
حول عالمنا. ولكن أمامنا المزيد.
We know that around the world we have many challenges that we are facing together.
لدينا شركاء
but we have partners that we work with, partners here in India and partners around the world.
وأيضا نحضر مؤتمراتهم.
That we come together and work together for this common objective.
وفكرية من جمهورية
الهند. I'm very delighted with this visit and also the successful meetings that I had
أهدافنا المشتركة. أنا سعيد
جدا بزيارة الهند
وأيضا سعيد بلقاءاتي المتنوعة في جمهورية الهند، وهي لقاءات ناجحة ورائعة جدا، ونعتبر هذه الزيارة في السجل الخاص الذي أعتز به في جملة زياراتي حول العالم.
Your Excellency, this has been a truly enlightening interaction. You've spoken about so many important concepts. We are sure that this will go a long way in promoting moderate ideas and building strong relations between both India and Saudi Arabia. We again would like to thank you for taking the time for this interaction with you.
أنا سعيد جدا بهذا.
I'm very happy for this interview and this meeting with you, and we'll be happy and delighted to continue
نستمر في التواصل
our communication and outreach here in India. We are working together to achieve our common objectives.
لتحقيق أهدافنا
المشتركة. Of course, that was achieved through our visit and also in our previous conferences, through which we continue to build upon this relationship.
وسنعمل عليها مستقبلا إن شاء الله. Thank you.
Shukran. Allah Hafiz.
For your having me. Thank you so much.